Matthew had always felt different. In a world where masculinity was celebrated and expected, he harbored a secret yearning that he had never dared to voice. It was a desire that lived in the recesses of his mind, a part of himself he had buried beneath layers of societal expectations. But every now and then, when the world was quiet, he allowed himself to imagine what it would be like to live in a different skin, to embrace the feminine side he had always felt but never explored. It wasn't until he stumbled upon an online community late one night that he realized he wasn't alone. This community was a haven for people like him, men who were curious about exploring their feminine side, men who wanted to learn what it meant to be submissive, and those who sought guidance in this journey. Among them, Matthew found someone who stood out, a figure known only as Mistress Evelyn, a sissy trainer with a reputation for transforming men into their most authentic selves. After weeks of lurking in the shadows, Matthew finally worked up the courage to send Mistress Evelyn a message. His heart pounded as he typed out a short introduction, expressing his curiosity and yearning for guidance. He had never done anything like this before, and as he hit the send button, a wave of anxiety washed over him. Would she even respond? The next morning, Matthew awoke to find a reply in his inbox. Mistress Evelyn's message was direct, yet oddly comforting. She acknowledged his curiosity and explained that the journey he was about to embark on would be challenging but rewarding. It was a path of self-discovery, submission, and transformation, a path that would require him to surrender his fears and embrace his desires fully. Matthew hesitated for a moment before agreeing to Mistress Evelyn's terms. He wasn't entirely sure what he was getting himself into, but something about her message resonated with him. For the first time in his life, he felt like someone understood him. He felt seen. The first few weeks under Mistress Evelyn's guidance were unlike anything Matthew had ever experienced. She was firm yet gentle, pushing him to confront his insecurities and explore parts of himself he had long suppressed. Their sessions took place online, through a combination of video calls, messages, and detailed assignments that Mistress Evelyn would give him. One of the first tasks she gave Matthew was to create a feminine persona, a name, a backstory, and a look that represented the woman he wished to become. After much thought, Matthew decided on the name Madeline. It felt right, like a part of him he had always known but never acknowledged. With Mistress Evelyn's guidance, Madeline began to take shape. Matthew spent hours researching makeup tutorials, studying the nuances of feminine gestures, and practicing speaking in a softer, more delicate tone. Mistress Evelyn was meticulous, correcting him when he slipped up, praising him when he succeeded. Each day, Matthew felt more connected to Madeline, more in tune with the person he was becoming. But it wasn't just about appearance. Mistress Evelyn encouraged Matthew to explore the psychological aspects of submission, teaching him the importance of obedience and surrender. She introduced him to the concept of training, a process that involved not just physical transformation but also mental and emotional growth. Matthew learned to follow Mistress Evelyn's instructions without question, trusting her to guide him on this journey. She would give him tasks that seemed simple on the surface, like wearing a specific outfit or practicing a certain mannerism, but each one carried a deeper meaning. Each task was a step toward shedding his old identity and embracing his true self. As the weeks turned into months, Matthew's transformation into Madeline became more profound. He had grown comfortable in his new skin, finding joy in the rituals of femininity that once seemed foreign to him. He loved the feel of soft fabrics against his skin, the way makeup could change his appearance, and the sense of peace that came with surrendering control. But Mistress Evelyn wasn't finished with him yet. She knew that true transformation required more than just outward changes. It required a shift in mindset, a deepening of submission. And so, she introduced Matthew to more challenging tasks, pushing him to go beyond his comfort zone. One day, Mistress Evelyn gave Matthew an assignment that would test his commitment to the process. She instructed him to go out in public as Madeline, not just in a private, controlled environment, but out in the real world. It was a terrifying prospect for Matthew, but he trusted Mistress Evelyn and knew that this was a crucial step in his journey. With his heart pounding, Matthew dressed as Madeline for the first time outside the safety of his home. He chose a modest but feminine outfit, a knee-length skirt, a soft blouse, and a pair of low heels. His makeup was subtle but flawless, and he wore a wig that framed his face in soft curls. As he stepped out the door, a wave of anxiety washed over him, but he reminded himself of Mistress Evelyn's words, "Trust in the process." The world seemed different as Madeline. Every step felt like an act of courage, every glance from a passer-by a test of his resolve. But as the day went on, something remarkable happened. Matthew began to feel more at ease. He walked with more confidence, spoke with more grace, and found that the world didn't seem as hostile as he had feared. In fact, there were moments when he felt an overwhelming sense of liberation, a sense of finally being true to himself. When he returned home that evening, Matthew felt a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. He had done it. He had stepped out into the world as Madeline and survived. More than that, he had thrived. Mistress Evelyn was proud of him, and for the first time, Matthew felt proud of himself. As Matthew's journey continued, his bond with Mistress Evelyn grew stronger. She became more than just a guide. She became a mentor, a confidant, and, in many ways, a friend. Their relationship was built on trust and mutual respect, with Matthew submitting to her guidance and Mistress Evelyn nurturing his growth. Mistress Evelyn began to introduce Matthew to the more complex aspects of submission. She taught him about the power dynamics at play, the importance of communication, and the beauty of surrender. She showed him that submission wasn't about weakness, but about strength, about the strength to trust, to let go, and to embrace vulnerability. Under Mistress Evelyn's tutelage, Matthew learned to embrace his submissive nature. He found comfort in the structure and discipline she provided, knowing that she had his best interests at heart. She encouraged him to explore his desires, to ask questions, and to push his boundaries, all within the safe, supportive environment they had created together. But Mistress Evelyn also knew that Matthew's journey was far from over. There were still aspects of himself that he needed to confront, fears he needed to overcome. And so, she devised a new challenge for him, one that would take him deeper into the world of submission and transformation. The final challenge was unlike anything Matthew had faced before. Mistress Evelyn instructed him to spend an entire weekend as Madeline, no breaks, no reverting to his old self. He was to live, breathe, and exist entirely as the woman he had become, fully embracing his new identity. Matthew was both excited and terrified by the prospect. He had come so far in his journey, but this felt like the ultimate test, a test of his commitment, his courage, and his ability to truly let go. As the weekend approached, Mistress Evelyn helped Matthew prepare. They planned every detail, from the outfits he would wear to the activities he would engage in. She gave him strict instructions to follow, reminding him that this was an opportunity to fully immerse himself in his new identity. When the weekend finally arrived, Matthew took a deep breath and stepped into his role as Madeline. From the moment he woke up on Saturday morning, he was no longer Matthew. He was Madeline, a confident, graceful woman who embraced her femininity with pride. The weekend was a whirlwind of emotions for Matthew. There were moments of joy, moments of doubt, and moments of pure exhilaration. He spent time pampering himself, practicing his makeup skills, and even going out in public again. Each experience deepened his connection to Madeline, making him feel more at home in his new skin. But the true test came on Sunday evening, when Mistress Evelyn gave Matthew one final task. She instructed him to write a letter to himself, a letter from Madeline to Matthew, expressing everything he had learned on this journey. Matthew spent hours on the letter, pouring his heart into every word. He wrote about the fears he had overcome, the strength he had discovered, and the joy he had found in embracing his true self. He wrote about the bond he had formed with Mistress Evelyn, the lessons she had taught him, and the gratitude he felt for her guidance. As he finished the letter, Matthew felt a sense of peace wash over him. He had completed the final challenge, and in doing so, he had fully embraced his identity as Madeline. It was a moment of profound realization, one that marked the end of one journey and the beginning of another. With the completion of the final challenge, Matthew knew that he had changed forever. He was no longer the man who had hidden his true self away. He was Madeline, a woman who had found the strength to embrace her desires, her femininity, and her submission. But the journey didn't end there. With Mistress Evelyn's guidance, Matthew continued to grow and evolve. He learned to balance his masculine and feminine sides, finding harmony in his dual identity. He explored new aspects of submission, deepening his understanding of power dynamics and the beauty of surrender. And through it all, Mistress Evelyn remained by his side, guiding him, supporting him, and helping him navigate the complexities of his new life. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day, built on a foundation of trust, respect, and mutual growth. In the end, Matthew realized that the journey he had embarked on wasn't just about transformation, it was about self-discovery. It was about finding the courage to embrace his true self, to live authentically, and to let go of the fears that had held him back for so long. As he looked back on the journey that had brought him to this point, Matthew felt a deep sense of gratitude for Mistress Evelyn, for the community that had supported him, and for the strength he had found within himself. He knew that his journey was far from over, but he was ready for whatever came next. For the first time in his life, Matthew felt truly free. And as he stepped into his new life as Madeline, he knew that he was exactly where he was meant to be. Thank you so much for watching till now. It means the world to have you here. This community is all about empowering each other and celebrating the incredible journeys of everyone on their path to living authentically. If you're ever feeling lost or alone, remember you have a whole family here for you. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and let's keep inspiring each other, sending you all the love and strength in the world. Until next time, live your life by your rules.